Several years back, and I reported on this when they first did it. The Chinese took their cyber warfare branch and turned it into an co-equal branch to the land forces, the air forces, and the naval forces. Hence, I think, why they call it the fourth branch, fourth department of the General Staff of the PLA. People's Liberation Army is the generic term that they use for it's the equivalent of calling it the Defense Department. The official name of the U.S. military is the Defense Department, is the umbrella organization. Well, theirs is the People's Liberation Army. So you've got a People's Liberation Army ground forces, air forces and naval forces, and now cyber forces. They recognized early on the need to be able to attack enemies' electronic information networks. And of course, since then, there have been other events that have been blamed on them that were probably their doing. This one may be their doing. Don't misunderstand. But since the U.S. government is telling us, and you're not to believe anything the U.S. government tells you, you can say, well, maybe, possibly, this is correct. But don't put it at even a 50-50 probability. If the U.S. government says it, it's probably not true. So they go into great detail here on what this branch of the White House, or this part of the White House, does, that besides handling presidential communications and travel and intergovernment teleconferences involving senior policy and intelligence officials. See, when I first heard about this, the first thing that came to mind was, is this system, is this network that was hit not part of a closed network? Why is this network open to attack? Why is it vulnerable to attack? Understand what a closed system is. This mug is a closed system, okay? Fluid cannot get in it unless I put it in through the top, or it rains in here, okay? It's a closed system. An open system would be something like a lake or your toilet, where anything can come in from anywhere if it can access the pipes coming in from your toilet. That's kind of a crude analogy, but that's basically what we're talking about here, is toilets and coffee mugs. But the article it details fairly explicitly what this branch, the WHMO, does, and it's the White House Military Office. And quite frankly, I'm a little bit flabbergasted that the nuclear football would be on the same network with all of this other stuff that just does routine things like travel arrangements, as they say here, etc. Okay? Shouldn't that be secure? Shouldn't it be? Now, they claim there was nothing done, that it only broke in and did kind of a denial of service type of thing, or just kind of rooted around in there and then left without doing any damage. Well, is that true? Is that correct? I doubt it. Okay? This is the equivalent of saying that the made in China parts that are being used in U.S. military sophisticated hardware are perfectly safe and secure from any monkey shines. They can't say that. You can't say that about computer technology these days. Computer technology is so insidious, and anything is possible. All of a sudden, all the cruise missiles in the U.S. inventory could suddenly fail because one small part in there had a bug in it that they didn't know existed. And they supposedly check all this stuff. Okay, do we know that that's the case? It's a threat. Okay. Again, they're arrogant. Oh, we have the best cyber experts in the world. We can stop anybody from doing any real damage. And that's what they're claiming here. There was no real damage done. Maybe there wasn't supposed to be any damage. Supposedly, maybe a bug was placed in the system. What do they call those these days? Viruses? Okay. Either a time-sensitive virus that's going to be activated at a certain time, or more likely, a signal might go out that would then cause the bug to be activated. This is dangerous stuff we're talking about. They call it a spear phishing attack against an unclassified network. Spear phishing is a cyber attack that uses disguised emails that seek to convince recipients of a specific organization to provide confidential information. In the past, it's been linked to China and other states with sophisticated cyber warfare capabilities. An official describing the attack said it's not infrequent and that there are unspecified mitigation measures in place. In this instance, the attack was identified, system isolated, and no indication whatsoever of any exfiltration of data took place. Therein lies the rub. No exfiltration of data. In other words, nothing leaked out. They didn't mention infiltration of data, did they? Sabotage, folks. That's going to kind of wait, bubbling beneath the surface until it's activated, like I just explained. So, cause for concern? Well, heck yeah. Heck yeah, in many ways. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
It's Lynn.
Yeah, Lynn.
Yeah, I think some of the companies that make Windows, and especially Bill Gates, as a profiteer for viruses, they make the viruses to where you have to buy the program to uninstall.
I've heard this. I've heard this before from a lot of people that they're afraid that these viruses are made intentionally to cause you to have to spend some money with them.
They are. I'm telling you that, you know, I've worked on computers for many years, and for about 30 years, and I can tell you right now that the viruses that they make, the virus companies are the ones who profiteer.
Yeah.
You know, and they're the ones who's causing the virus to begin with.
Yeah. Well, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all. But, okay, that makes you the third caller, so you win the T-shirt. You get to pick that up tomorrow at the meeting.
Oh, Lord,
the good, yeah, you're the good. You get the good T-shirt. These flags are now considered terrorist activity.
Tell Stephanie that she's doing a good job.
All right. Yeah, we'll pass it on. She's right here. So, oh yeah.
Well.
Very good. I appreciate it.
Well, we'll see you tomorrow night.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, bye.
Adios.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, who's to say who put this attack on the? Like I said, can we be sure that China did it? Well, it could be Iran, but I think if it had been Iran, they would have let you know. Everybody would have heard about it being Iran. Or if they decided that they didn't want to turn the heat up too badly on Iran. So, caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, Tom is a little off the subject here right now.
Yeah, Ted.
But I understand I called a scuttlebutt that this man that was overseas got murdered the other day at, what was it, Syria? Or Egypt, wherever it was.
In Libya.
Libya.
Yeah.
But it was an inside job that someone had fled here about 20 years ago legally, not illegally. Mm-hmm. And they still have contacts over there. That was an inside job, and there was time that our government could have gotten him out of there.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, this is coming out. That part's coming out officially. Well, I shouldn't say officially. The parts of the controlled media are talking about this, especially Fox. And what immediately after this happened, we got word that this was a special ops mission by somebody other than Libyans.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And in all likelihood, the Mossad did it. to get that stuff really started brewing.
Yeah, but it being an inside job, how much did our CIA have to do with it
Right.
too?
Well, let's just say they probably knew about it. Certain elements within the agency knew about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, what you're saying here about the lack of support given apparently is very true, because it came out the last day or so that the State Department denied the ambassador's request, or his security people. Somebody requested beefed up security.
Yes.
And they denied it because it would intimidate the locals. Okay, well, let me tell you about intimidating the locals. One of the other embassies, I think it was the Egyptian embassy, that was hit by similar attacks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me rephrase that. They weren't similar. There were conventional riots apparently, but that embassy, the ambassador specifically forbade the Marines to have any ammunition on duty.
Yeah,
While they were,
that's real great, ain't it?
You got this stuff, this culture within the State Department. And who runs the State Department, people?
Yeah, anyway,
that has been touted as perhaps the next Democratic presidential candidate in the next election after this one?
Yeah.
Okay? Well, methinks that's why she's resigning as Secretary of State after this year.
Yeah.
In the new administration, whether it's Obama or whoever, of course she won't be if it's whoever, but
yeah.
Supposedly she's going to resign for the next term. But the ambassador to Egypt, a woman by the way, which is a joke, putting a female as ambassador in a Muslim country is a joke, people.
Yeah.
I don't care what your political correctness buttons say, that's a joke. They do not respect women as equals. Okay, you notice the president of Egypt is not a female.
No, and never will be.
In all likelihood, you're right, unless of course the Zionists take over Egypt. But
well,
the bottom line is that the ineptitude it was already bad under the Republicrats, but
yeah.
this neo-communist that is in there now, and the people, they put him in there, I think, to crash the country, and in any way possible they are crashing internationally, domestically, socially. They want the country eliminated as a threat to the New World Order.
Okay.
Because this is the only country that can really threaten the New World Order. The people can threaten. The political figures, they've got under control. The people, the people.
Indeed.
Okay? They don't have us under control. And the only way they're going to get us under control now is to allow chaos to reign.
Exactly.
And so economic chaos is pending. You've got the situation going on in these Muslim countries that is creating hard feelings, not just overseas, but with Muslims here.
Okay.
Bubbling beneath the surface, rightly or wrongly. It doesn't matter. We're talking about what is happening. It doesn't matter whether it's right or wrong. Okay. Personally, it is wrong. Okay. Because we're getting Muslims that are saying that our freedom of speech does not take priority over their perceived religious beliefs. And that's bull. That is pure D bull for any Muslims watching. Because I will fight you to the death over that, and I bet you I got more guns than you do. Okay? And I know how to use them better than you do.
I wonder who trained them.
Well, a bunch of idiots. And they are idiots for going along with it. Because they are falling into the trap, and I've said this before, they're falling into the Zionist trap. They're doing exactly what the Zionists want them to do. Okay? And,
yeah.
Oh, we're not puppets of the Zionists. Bull, you are. If you can't act like a civilized human being.
Okay. Yeah. No, I'd wondered if you'd caught that scuttlebutt and how much, but these people, they still have contacts over there, and they said it was an inside job. They found that out through people they know.
You need to listen to that guy, okay?
And
keep that guy available. We may need to talk to him.
But anyway, I was just wondering, they said he could have gotten out but. And there's so many stinking butts around, it's pitiful, it seems like.
When this first happened, I asked myself, where were the Marines? Well, there were no Marines.
Okay.
And the only reason those 2 Navy SEALs were killed was because they were on an independent security job.
All right.
And they saw things developing and went to the aid of the ambassador because they knew his security sucked.
Yeah, and that's the reason they changed. They was wanting him to get out of the country, but no, because his security was of that country. It was not under U.S. security.
Well, how dumb is that?
And they said that there would have been time for him to have gotten out, but anyway. Well, okay, Tom, we thank you now.
All righty. Thanks, Ted.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Yeah, folks, I'm talking to everybody now because there's Christian, Jew, and Muslim and any of the above that are blowing it. They're blowing it something fierce. Their egos are running rampant, and they're not taking into account their fellow man, which our guy said that you love your fellow man like you love yourself, but obviously some of y'all don't. A whole lot of y'all don't, or that or you're self-loathing. You hate yourself. And I know people that are this way. That the reason that they're the way they are is because they're so damned insecure about their own existence that nobody else counts either. Well, you better get over that. This country is headed for a fall, and it's going to be nasty. And wait and see. All right. There's just so much stuff going on. The dispersants. I've been meaning to talk about this. And after that hurricane that just went through, what was the name of that? Isaac? After Isaac went through, there was a huge deposit of tar on some of the beaches that it went onto. It was tar from the BP oil spill, lots of it. And Jordan Maka, Sierra Club representative in New Orleans, wrote this letter to the editor in the Advocate recently. Gulf Coast scientists released disturbing findings related to chemical oil dispersants dumped into the Gulf as part of BP oil disaster response. Sierra Club and partner groups have filed suit against the EPA to force them to create strong regulations for dispersants. It's been over 2 years since major concerns were first raised regarding the safety of these mystery chemicals, and the EPA has been slow to act. Since then, hundreds of marine mammals have washed ashore, fish and shrimp are being caught with strange deformities, and sick coastal residents continue to step forward. Now it's more important than ever for the EPA to thoroughly test these chemicals so that the health of our waters, fisheries, communities, and response workers is protected when dispersants are used again. Without proper environmental and public health safety regulations, informed by robust toxicity testing, we risk facing another catastrophe that the Gulf and our nation's coasts can ill afford. Well, are you aware that that dispersant that they initially used had been already banned in some countries because it was extremely toxic? It was extremely bad stuff. Yet BP brought in all of the remaining stocks of it that could not be sold. They couldn't even be sold here. It was an emergency, so they allowed them to bring it in and use the entire remaining stocks of that particular dispersant. And they're still using dispersants, last we heard a month ago. There's still dispersants being, because this stuff's still down there. And it comes up every once in a while, like what just happened with that hurricane. So folks, if you've got any gumption about you and you have any stroke and you have any ability to get to people, then you might get some common sense involved in this thing too. They're still using them. Why? Because there's a whole lot of oil still down there, and the proof was what just happened with Isaac. We knew this, and then Isaac proved it out. You should see the photograph, and I couldn't find it again. It was in the Advocate, of that beach that was covered with tar. In the sports section, of all things. Oh, the back of the sports section, there was this, and I would have not even seen it, except accidentally. There was the article with the picture of the oil all over the beach. Have you seen anything in the media about it? To quote somebody that was just on by the name of Stephanie, media, where are you? Go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
How you doing, Tom? This is the other Lynn.
Hey, Lynn.
Listen, I just have a couple of questions and a couple of comments.
Okay.
Why would anybody that already has their mind made up of who they're going to vote for watch the debates? Can you tell me why?
Well, no, not really.
I was just wondering. I mean,
I already have my mind made up. I wasn't intending to.
I haven't called you. I just been listening to you.
Even if it's not playing when I'm on, I'm not going to watch it. It's a waste of time. I'm going to watch the opinion pieces about it, the ones in the newspaper, online, and on television afterward to see what they're saying about it. But as far as watching those two idiots, Tweedledummer and Tweedledumbest, come on. These two are dumber than the ones that ran last time. What does that tell you?
Yeah. Well, I know what MSNBC going to say.
Well, yeah, we know what they're going to say.
Oh, and, I want to something else I wanted to say. I was really surprised a while ago when you mentioned the word toilet, because you want to know why. This is really, really strange.
Which word?
I never dreamed in a million years you would use that word, because
toilet.
Because it's something that I wanted to say about a toilet before I called in tonight. Listen to this. I was thinking about this for the last couple of days. I see this country. Okay, put it this way. You know when you flush your toilet, Tom, how the water spins around before it goes down the drain? Okay? Well, I see this country right now.
I know you're going.
It's like the water in the toilet when you first flush it, spinning around and around and around. Yeah. And it hadn't gone down the drain. Exactly. I see. But I think if Obama gets re-elected, it's definitely going to go straight down the drain. But like I said, when I heard you say the word toilet, I had to sit up and say, this is scary. Our minds are kind of working a light tonight.
Well, that's the way the Holy Spirit works that way.
I want to say, if you don't mind, it's kind of change the subject, but I saw parts of an interview last week, or earlier this week. I think it might have been Monday. Yeah, I think it might have been Monday or something. But anyway, Howard Stern did an interview.
I saw it.
Okay,
it's been all over the net too. Yeah, well, see, that's the level that we have to deal with. Okay, and like they said, the piece that I saw or heard, there were other people chiming in that it's not just the folks that he interviewed in that particular incident that have done this kind of stuff before too, and you see it all over the country. All ethnic groups are guilty of the same problem. They don't know what the hell is going on out there. They have no idea, and like Ray Green likes to say, okay, I don't care how much Joey Durrell thinks he says something funny when he doesn't, but Ray Green is one of the most intelligent guys out there. His comment is, I don't know and I don't care, is the answer you get from people. Okay, if they really told you the truth. It's ignorance and apathy. I don't know, and I don't care to know. Okay, bottom line. Now, in reality, that's a little redundant, because what ignorance actually means is that I don't know something because I don't want to know it. You ignore it is where the root comes from, ignorance. All right, so stupidity is actually better than ignorance. I used to think it was the reverse, but it's not. Stupidity you can't help. You can't learn. You don't know something because you're not capable of knowing it. Now, granted, there's people out there, but they're not the ones we're talking to. Even the stupid people that I've known, and it's been some, would still pick up on stuff, and an innate, inborn common sense is still there. In some of the stupidest people you know, some of the people that are just incapable under the current definitions of learning, can't learn. It's those ignorant people that we're upset with. It's those people that don't want to know because they don't care, or they're scared to know. And that's what this show is directed at, is the ignorant people out there. Those that are watching like yourself are, and the other Lynn, and other folks that have called in, You're not in that classification by any means, okay? You're there to learn additional information. But I wish we could reach those truly ignorant people. And if you happen to be listening, then take it to heart, folks. I mean it personally. Okay? I'm not...
Because how can some of these people have the audacity to walk into a voting booth and vote? I mean, just think about it. Some of the people still think... They got some of the people that they interviewed...
That's democracy, Lynn.
But wait, some of them think it's McCain and Palin on the ticket. Are you kidding me? McCain and Palin?
I know.
You don't have a clue. What I'm saying, well, it don't matter.
Calm down.
I don't care if Obama's a Mormon. I'm a vote for.
Calm down.
Come on, man. I mean, we laughing, but this is not funny.
No, it's not.
These people are dangerous, man. And you never know. Some of these people might decide the election. This is unbelievable. Well, don't know who's running.
No. Again, Lynn, remember what I've said before. It doesn't matter who votes. It's who counts the votes.
Yeah,
all of the dumb ignoramuses can vote, and they all vote one way. The whole country could vote for one or the other. Right. And if that's not the way that the powers that be want it to go, then it's going to be a 51-49 split between the two, and 51% is going to go to the other guy that they really wanted to win. Right. That's what you get when you've got the same power base, the same bunch of people running both parties, which they are, okay? You've got secret ballot. Oh, we got to have secret ballot. Why? Well, I don't want anybody to know how I voted. Why? You're afraid? You're ashamed of it? You're ashamed to tell anybody how you voted? Oh no, I'm scared that they... Wait a minute. That was the excuse for the secret ballot originally, was, oh, so people couldn't be intimidated. Well, let me tell you how the real pros intimidate people at the voting. They did this in Rhodesia, which became Zimbabwe because of this. The British poll watchers were inside, making sure the election was conducted fairly and honestly, and et cetera, et cetera. The communists were outside with guns, okay, talking to the people in line, and told them that they were going to vote for the communists who won the election and turned it into Zimbabwe, and it's a basket case now because of it. Well, how did they convert? How did they convince these people to vote for the Communist Party? Well, they said, the next guy that comes out, watch. And the next guy that comes out of the polling place, remember, there's no British poll watchers watching this, okay? There's no police outside, except maybe the ones in uniform working for the communists. Next guy that walks out, they said, you voted for the other side. You didn't vote for the communists. Bam! Shot him right on the spot. Didn't let him deny it. Didn't care who he voted for. And the poor folks standing outside didn't know any different. They said, wow, they knew who he voted for. So I guess we better vote for them, or they're going to know we voted for the other side, and they're going to shoot us too. Think about it. That's the same mentality that's at work in this country.
You said something earlier tonight. I think you said that Obama had only missed 35% of his
he missed 35 briefings. He missed 35% of his daily briefings. Now, the daily briefings are very important, right, because this has gone on for a long time. It involves the military, the intelligence community. Is basically national security briefings is the full term. They don't use that anymore. They just use daily briefings on their schedule. He's got all of these in the so-called national security apparatus briefs him on what important things have happened the night before that they think is important enough that could impact on this country's security in the next 24 hours, okay? So it might be that the Russians have invaded Georgia again, or it might be that the Belgian, or whatever the Congo is called now, the Republic of the Congo has invaded Zimbabwe, things like this. Or that there's a security breach in the White House email network, okay? This kind of stuff. or that there's a new Russian satellite that's been launched that they think is carrying nuclear weapons, etc. Okay. This is so the president, when the day goes on, something else happens that might impact upon it. He's not going to be surprised by it. He's going to have some advanced information, and he can act then on it in an intelligent, educated way, right?
Right.
Well, guess what? He doesn't care about national security. It's obvious. By only attending 65%, and then on weekends there aren't even any. So basically, he only attends 65% of the 60%, what's that, 5 out of 7, to, well, almost a third of the time there's not even a security briefing to begin with. When you kick that in his presidency, then it amounts to almost half of the days of his presidency he never has a security briefing.
And the reason I brought it up too, being that I heard you say that, some of the numbers I saw, of course, I don't know, I'm just saying, some of the numbers I saw was that he has only attended 39% of them. So if those numbers are right, it means he's missed 60%.
If those numbers are correct, he's missed 60%.
It's just the opposite of what you said. In other words,
well, again,
you say, so in other words, you say he missed 35%. The number I see is that he attended well, but anyway,
given the
bottom
benefit
line,
of
they're saying that about 2/3 of the time he's not even there, like you say. And you mentioned something else earlier, another name, boy, then you made my blood boil.
Hillary?
Valerie Jarrett, listen, Valerie Jarrett.
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi's clone. That's hard to believe this idiot has that much power in the White House.
Well, again, let me tell you what I think about her. I think now that since Rahm Emanuel went to become Chicago's mayor, which according to the guy that wrote that book that I was talking about, he says that Rahm Emanuel was an executive type and couldn't handle being a lackey of the president. Well, there may be some truth to that, because Rahm Emanuel is a very egotistical SOB too. Okay, so you've got two egotistical SOBs, and one of them who's a lot smarter than the other one is working for the one that's dumber to begin with. And Rahm Emanuel has an ego bigger than Obama's in all likelihood, or at least equal to it. And so I can see how he couldn't stomach working for that guy, at least officially. Okay? Valerie Jarrett looks to be the handler. Do what?
It's like Bush and Cheney.
Well, it's like Bush and Cheney, but Bush didn't have as much of an ego as Cheney did. Whereas Obama and Emanuel probably butted heads a bunch because of both of them's egos. It's like we were talking about before the show, and the difference between Bush and Obama. Bush at least had some real-world experience, even though it was kind of by osmosis, all right? He was just there. He kind of saw how to comport himself from being around people that at least gave the semblance of courtesy to people around him. But from what we're hearing about this bunch here, they're kind of equivalent to the Clintons. The Demon Rats, not only do they get socialists, but they get socialists who are uber elitists and have their noses out of joint over anybody working for them. And we've heard this about the Clintons, heard it about, to an extent, about the Carters, especially Mrs. Carter. Okay? Jimmy Carter's wife was apparently like that. But you hear just the opposite about the Bushes and the Reagans, that they were at least deferential to the people working for them, and they had some semblance of common decency about them. All right, you don't treat the people working for you like dirt. I mean, there's a book that was written by an ex-Secret Service agent in the Clinton administration. The daughter, Chelsea, poor-mouthed the Secret Service in front of them. Okay, she poor-mouthed the guys that were keeping her safe. That's a bad idea. Because are they going to take a bullet for Obama? Some of them might, but they'll be more likely to have taken a bullet for even Bush Jr. And again, though, don't hang your hat on Romney, because Bush was worse than Clinton. Clinton was worse than Bush Sr. and on down the line. Romney, if he gets in there, is going to be worse than Obama as far as all this stuff goes. It's just it'll be more of an even hand. It will be more genteel. Okay. So the question is, well, I won't. It's a family hour, so I won't diverge or descend into vulgarity. But basically, do you want to be hit over the head with a baseball bat without it covered with a velvet coating, or would you prefer to be hit with a baseball bat with a velvet coating on it? And that's what the Bushes and Romney are going to do, whereas the Clintons and the Obamas, okay, they use the baseball bat without any fuzzy, nice, warm, fuzzy feeling. As far as
Tom, I didn't mean to keep you on the line that long,
Lynn.
but I really
Thanks.
enjoyed it. And keep up the good work, and I'll talk to you next week. Thank you, Tom.
Okay. What time we got? All right. Lynn mentioned MSNBC, and I got an article here about it that I'm just going to gloss over. But basically, Kathleen Parker talks about President MSNBC and the MSNBC attitude and their status at the Democratic convention. Now, she grants that the Joe Scarborough show, Morning Joe in the morning, is kind of balanced. They've got some Republicans and some Democrats, and they hash things out quasi-equally. Well, I don't agree with her. Okay, they've become more left-wing, even with old Joe Scarborough sitting there, and he has not called them to task on many things that he should have. Okay, so he's been told that he needs to drift a little left in his appraisals. But overall, though, MSNBC is one big left-wing mouthpiece for the Demon Rat Party, and this is the way it worked out at the convention. She's got specific examples of stuff that they pulled at the convention. They even had a plaza named after them. MSNBC Plaza was used for various events at the daytime concert, and they did some interviews in MSNBC Plaza if you watched it. Like she closes, no longer do we get what we pay for, as the adage goes. We get what the activists want, and we all pay for it. Okay? And this is what I've noticed. This is why I rarely watch MSNBC anymore. I used to watch them, even early days Obama administration, and it got to the point where it was gag reflex practically every day with some of the stuff on there. I mean, Al Sharpton, come on. He's got his own show on MSNBC, people. So basically, take NBC and flush them as far as your news goes. Forget about them. I'll still watch CNN a little bit. Unfortunately, mostly Fox. But remember who runs Fox, who owns Fox, Rupert Murdoch, big-time Clinton supporter. So even those guys, you've got to take them with a grain of salt. It's like I was saying earlier about government information. With a grain of salt, folks. Don't believe anything, especially the government tells you. And the newspapers, they've still got a balance. You've got the likes of Thomas Sowell here talking about Obama's socialism insidious. Yeah, he's a socialist. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He wants to redistribute the wealth. America's protected class endangers the rest. Okay. Who's the protected class? Well, it's the entitlement folks, those on Social Security and Medicare and on government welfare. He's saying there's got to be something done. This is from Robert J. Samuelson, who's got a lot of good stuff to say. But once again, and I've got other articles here dealing with this on the economy. We're not going to turn this country around, folks, with the solutions put out by either Romney or Obama. It's not going to work. Okay, bottom line is neither one has the solution. The only solution that's going to work is what Ron Paul proposed and then some. I think Dr. Paul, had he been given the chance and not been skunked by his own alleged party, which I'm still upset with the Louisiana Ron Paul folks for not filing all the suits that they were supposed to file over the Shreveport debacle. And I will not have anything to do with the Republican Party over that again. Like I said the first hour, unless they can prove to me they've changed. But what it's going to take is a repudiation of most of the national debt. And the best way to do that is to take over the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve is out. It becomes a truly federal bank. I actually had some commentators over the last few years. I've heard them say, well, we owe most of the debt to the Federal Reserve, so we owe it to ourselves. Obviously, he does not watch Freedom Forum. Federal Reserve is not a U.S. government agency. It is not a U.S. government bank. It is a private bank, and in reality is owned by the major banks of the world. The major international banksters are our debtors. And if we repudiate the debt, which can be done under the Federal Reserve Act, Congress can buy it back for less than 1 year's payment in interest. So you can pay these guys off if you want to do it legally, or we can do it my way and put Marines into every Federal Reserve Bank and have the cyber experts in the National Security Agency freeze all accounts in the Federal Reserve, and the U.S. takes back the Federal Reserve Bank. Then these foreign debts, like to China, etc., we start working some things out. Okay? There needs to be some changes made. But have you heard about QE3? QE3 is coming fast and furious. What was the figures? 8 billion a year forever? This is not going to end at QE3. It's going to be QE3 plus, 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 plus.
No more welfare for Israel.
So the monetary situation is about to get extremely grim, people. When QE3 kicks in and all of the ramifications thereof, watch out. Get your food, get your ammunition, get your medical supplies, Bible, beans, bullets, and Band-Aids. See it at the meeting. Didn't get that out.
I've been forgetting to tell you, your Magnum primers,
Yeah,
I don't want more of them.
don't want any more of them. What's the matter with them?
I've had 8 of them fail to fire on the first drop of the hammer. 2 of them I had to
Okay.
eject it out of the gun, put it back in, and then